so excited. We just hear chatter, chatter, and that's wonderful. It's nothing like being excited over partnerships when we see things changing for the betterment. This city of Winston-Salem is blessed because we have partners that we work with, and we have residents who know about the area. And I'm not going to try to tell you about the area because I do know about it. It's a story to be told. But I'm sure you have someone on the program who lived in the area and can better tell you about it. Dr. Tomlinson said to me a few minutes ago that he was surprised when he came. Linden was on one side and then Linden was on another side. There was no straight through. I said, well, I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. We had straight through streets. But the reason we don't have it in Winston-Salem like this, and if I'm wrong, these planners will tell me, Mr. Norbert, you'll correct me if I'm not telling it. And some of the people who live here or lived here. When I came, I was so surprised. I continued to get lost all the time because Jackson was way over there, then Jackson was way over there. Now, somebody told me, if I'm in error, just correct me. The reason was because when Winston and Salem joined together, the streets were over there and some was over here. Is that the truth, Mr. Norbert? Now, who's the politician out here? Suppose so. I want to say that our mayor has been having some personal concerns with his family. And his mother's not too well, and we are so blessed. She is 90, is it 95? 95 years old. So he sends his regards. If he comes, it's because he has been able to get away from being with his mother. So you have the council person, you have your senator here, and you have your city manager, Mr. Lee Garrity, and of course everybody who's joining with us to make a difference in this city, and most of all the residents who lived here. So I want to say to all of you, thank you, thank you, thank you for what we see when R.J. Reynolds, Wake Forest, innovative individuals are coming together in this city to help us to make a difference. May God bless each of you as you listen to the presenters. Have a nice, I'm not going to say morning, have a nice noontime.
It was probably a year ago when the conversations about today started. And it started when we had to council requests from individuals here in this area, particularly from Innovation Quarter, to rename Linden Street to Research Parkway. And as we had those conversations at the Public Works Committee, I thought it was necessary for us to ask the questions about this neighborhood and this community and what have we done to really memorialize the community that existed here. And so that set off a chain of events and great opportunities of working with Dr. Tomlinson and others to really see how we can do more to make sure that the rich history of the neighborhoods and the homes and the individuals that help make Winston-Salem what it is today doesn't get lost in all of the new development that's happening. And I believe that this is great, but we also have to remember from which we've come. We have to remember those who've paved the way for us and those who've laid the foundation. And so I'm happy that we've arrived at this moment, at this time, that we can pay homage to those who have lived in this community, those who helped to make this city what it is. And we tried to reach out to others who were born and reared in this neighborhood and community. We were able to get great insight from Senator Parmon and others about the rich history of this community. And so today, I'm excited. Today I'm happy that we're able to unveil this historic marker for this neighborhood, for this community, and it stands in the backdrop of all of the new construction, all of the new economic development that happens within this community, but that is happening today because of what has happened in the past. And so we stand here today because of all those who lived, grew up, spent their time, their money, their energy building this city, building this community. And so today we pay homage to them as we look to the future. So again, I say thank you to all of you all. Thank you for all of your hard work and dedication. All of those who help make all of this come together. Again, I say thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linda Dark, and I'm here to represent the Historic Resource Commission. And I'm very excited because I remember this neighborhood from way back when. The commission is responsible for the Historic Marker Program. It started over 10 years ago, and we've placed 35 markers throughout the community thus far. The Belews Street neighborhood represents an extremely important part of the community's heritage, and we have many residents here who know all about it. It was predominantly African-American neighborhood. Many of the residents worked at the tobacco factories, which were right back there. The residents will talk to you. They remember the neighborhood as having homes, grocery stores, restaurants, churches, many, many more things. And it was a true community. Although the physical structures are gone now, we have it here. We have it in our minds and in our hearts. And so we're very excited for the neighborhood that once stood here. And now everyone will be able to see that this is where it was. Now I'd like to introduce Senator Earline Parmon. She has deep connections to the neighborhood. And please come up for your remarks.
Good afternoon. This is indeed a welcome day. I remember conversations time and time again with some of the neighborhoods, and I'd see people I went to school with from right here in this community. And if you look to your left, that was East 4th Street, and where that telephone post is where my home stood. So I really have ties to this community. And as I look about, I remember the rich community. It was really community in those days. I remember the neighbors that would say, you better not cross the street, and it was okay for that to happen. I remember D.W. Andrews, who was the first black plumbing company in this city, lived about where the grave part is in that brick building there. On the corner of 4th and Hickory, Maple was Phyllis Sweetley home. And on this next corner was Safe Bus and Kansas City Cab Company. How many folk remember Safe Bus? How many people remember Kansas City Cab Company? And then we had Kansas City Laundry. I remember my aunt, many women, black women, sweated. And where that building right there is, it used to be Kansas City Laundry. And if they didn't have air conditioning, and they had the windows cracked open where they could get air. I had an aunt work there, and I would go by and I'd look in, and she'd slip me a nickel out. So indeed, this is great that the city and the other partners have come together to help us to keep memories of a thriving black community. We had stores, Safest grocery store, Lawfest grocery stores. We had shoe shine parlors. Black people had small businesses, and they supported the community. So this is a day well worth our time to come together to commemorate. And I thank you and to Mayor Pro Tem Burke, City Council people for working together with the community to help this become a reality. Again, thank you, and it brings back many memories. One of the fondest things, I don't know whether it was one of the scariest times in my life, when urban redevelopment came through. They bought the houses from the residents and helped them to find other places. My grandfather refused to save because he had not been long paid for his home in full. And it was one of the last houses standing, and the city threatened to pull the house down with him in it. Thank God we were finally able to get him to relent. But that's how precious the property and what the community meant to people in this community. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. And what a beautiful afternoon. I'm Eric Tomlinson. I'm the president of the Innovation Quarter here in Winston-Salem, and it's my honor to welcome you here today on behalf of my boss, Dr. John McConnell, and Dr. Nathan Hatch, and all the 30,000 employees and students at Wake Forest. We believe it's our duty, Councilman Montgomery, to recognize and to celebrate the history of this place, and this is one of the first markers that has been erected. The Belews Street district, to the distance here and from this point down to Business 40, was a very important component of Winston-Salem in the 40s and 50s. And when the neighborhood was cleared for the installation of 52, there was talk then that this was also the beginning of a new economic development in this area, in the Belews Street area. That hasn't taken place, but it is about to take place. Over the next 15 years, what you see here in front of us, this area of 30 acres with the stormwater retention pond, with the research parkway, will become revitalized as a new neighborhood for Winston-Salem, with residential, retail, business, and industry participating in this rebirth. So it's my privilege and honor to be part of that change, and that change will continue to recognize the unbelievable and interesting history that's gone on here before us. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. When you look around, you see land. When I look around, I see the young men of Fogar and Bath Street picking up coal from the railroad track where the train stopped and the free coal fell to the ground. And you go down a little farther, you see Miss Carrie Jefferson selling her candy apples. You come up Blues, you see Mrs. Boxtail at her sewing machine making outfits for us, and she never used a pattern. She just look at you and say, "Child, I got it." And when you got up to Cleveland, you would see my great-grandmother, Miss Bella Bailey, who was about 90 years old, in her garden talking over the fence to Mrs. Bird on the other side of the street, which was Bernard Bird's grandmother. And you can go on up, and when you walk into Mount Olive Church, it started right here at Ridge and First Street. And that is the reason it is at the top of Blues. We sold a lot of dinners, a lot of revivals to make Mount Olive Church up on the hill, and the church it is. When we would go to church, we would play in the branch behind the church, making sure that we did not wet our clothes. So some 18 years ago, some of the former neighbors got together and we started a Blue Street reunion committee because we wanted to see our old neighbors, not just at funerals, but anytime during the year. So we started the Blue Street reunion. So my name is Barbara Chisholm Morris, and I am the secretary of the Blue Street reunion. And we would like to thank the Wake Forest Invocators Quarters, the Historical Society, and the City of Winston-Salem for this fine plaque telling us what went on in Winston-Salem, North Carolina in the Blue Street area. We have two persons still living today, Mr. Nathaniel Linton, he's in his 90s, and Mrs. Othella Carter, that had businesses on Blue Street. You have to know where you come from in order to know where you're going. So keep the history alive. To all people, document your history. When you take photographs, please write on your photographs who the persons are, because when we get old, we don't know who they are. I inherited a bag of pictures from my mother of people that lived in this area, and I know it was 100 pictures, and I only knew 3 people. And I am the youngest person in the Blue Street reunion, and we only knew 3 people out of the bunch. And from this neighborhood, we had former Fire Chief John Guest. We had Mrs. Pioneer, who was a retired school teacher. We also had Sister Earline. We had school teachers, the principal from Skyland School, and we had one young lady to become a principal in Charlotte, North Carolina. We had plenty nurses, and the first black Bell's bondman, which was Mr. Press Crockett. So when we have our reunion, which this coming July will be our 19th reunion, and we have had former residents of Winston-Salem to come from as far away as Los Angeles, California, back to the reunion. So thank you.
If there are any other neighbors that would like to share, please come up at this time and share your stories with us. All I say to you is a long walk from here to Atkins.
Rain, sleet, or snow.
We got there. Sometime barefooted, my father would say. But I got there. I want to say this day, thank for this day coming, that we can come together in unity and be a part of the Blue Street community. I was born on Woodland Avenue. The doctors didn't do nothing but come to your house in those days. I ain't gonna tell nobody how old I am. But anyway, the doctors came, and out came a lot of scholars out of Blue Street. A lot of growing up, a lot of football players, Carl Eller, and all them, they were in the neighborhood. And we just take our time today to thank God for putting us in a neighborhood that we didn't know we had to do it, and we've done it anyway. So I thank you for your presence on the day. As the president of the vicinity, Blue Street vicinity, I say to you, God bless you, and thank you for coming. And let us all praise God for being so good to us.
Good afternoon, everybody. Everybody thinks I'm still Jesse Matters, and I am. And I was listening to different ones saying where they were born. I was born on Wheeler Street, and Wheeler Street still exists. This development did not alter that, and neither did it alter over by Forsyth Seafood. We still have Wheeler Street, so that's where I was born. And I lived. I'm one of the persons that lived down on Belews and then Highland. So when I first started coming to our reunion, I'm a writer. I'm an author, and I have written and published a book, but I write poetry, poems, essays, stories, whatnot. But when I first started coming, I hadn't done a book, so since then I've written and published. So I said to Barbara that I think it was a reunion, 2 reunions ago, that I had written something about the neighborhood, and would it be appropriate if I bought it and read it? So she said, bring it. And I bought it and I read it, and everybody liked it. So this past one we had in September, I misplaced it. I could not find it. And I'm a creative writer, and I write right out of my heart when I get up and write it. And if I misplace it, it's gone. I can't, it's just in me, I can't find it. So I said to Bob last week, I said, I can't find it. She said, can you bring it? I said, I can't find it. Last Sunday evening this time, I was tearing up looking for it. So I thought, well, I know what you say you can't do. I said, well, I'm going to be a can-do. So I'm going to go and write it again. So I wrote it, and I read it to her, and she said, well, that sounds better than what you misplaced. So I prayed too, Reverend. I prayed. I said, Lord, help me to find. And I didn't make a copy of it, and I don't normally do that. So this is what I prayed, and I put this together. And this tells about the neighborhood. I heard the young man back there talking about Dave and all of that. So this is right in the neighborhood. That's what I titled it. Right in the neighborhood. We went grocery shopping at James and Dixon's store. Up the street at Jason's when we saw we needed more. Joyland was a pleasant place to shoot a little pool. Linton cleaners cleaned our clothes and kept us looking cool. At Napoleon's Cafe, we had fun, food, and dance, or just sat and watched others if you didn't take that chance. Fisher's Shoe Shop kept our shoes in repair, while Othello's Beauty Shop took care of the ladies' hair. Let's get to the next page. Dave's barber shop gave the fellas a good haircut, so they too could keep their strut. Framp sold ice in the summertime, Mr. Black sold wood when it was cold. We felt pretty comfortable, if the truth be told. When we needed to go downtown, we just caught the bus, right there on the corner, which was easy for us. On Sunday, Reverend Harris preached to those who would come. The church was close, not too far from our home. Now we know, we were never alone. Though many neighbors have passed and gone, there was help from on high that gave us the drive to live as we did and to survive, and as I called it, right in the neighborhood.
Are there any others from the neighborhood who need who would like to make a statement?
Ms. Burke and everybody, how you doing? Good. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bobby Wilson, and I'm president and founder of Vintage 04, which is a historic preservation organization founded in 2004. I am so glad to see this momentum of preservation going like it is going. All these markers going up everywhere and looking like our neighbors are thinking about our neighbors, and history is now in stone. I see Miss Harry back there and different people that have made this effort a momentous occasion. I went to Mount Olive Baptist Church in the day, and Miss Chisholm, Barbara knows me very well back then. My uncle was a trustee at the church. I got some pictures of us marching up the hill from the old wooden church to the new church up there on the other end, so I'll share those with you. But all the people in the neighborhood I knew. Now, my uncle was cool. He was a trustee. We went to every liquor house where we went to church. And we got quarters and dollars. And when we got to church, he put that money in there. We wasn't playing. And Reverend Coates was the pastor back then. So we built that church. God is good. Keep it up, girl.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. You never disappoint. One more. Okay.
My name is Napoleon Sherrod. My father owned the restaurant that all of us hung out in. We shot pool. We had. We really had a community of people together. You know, I was going up the expressway just a few minutes ago, and I looked at the expressway. I said, well, you know, the only way I can tell now where I used to live is the east and southbound. There's a split there. Yeah. And we live right down under that split there, under the hill. And you know, for years, we stayed in the bottom, but God brought us all out. Amen. For over 50 years, we was there. Yeah. My daddy ran the restaurant, and when they was getting ready to tear it down, the man told us, well, you're going to have a little more time, but we saw the man digging the stakes, putting them right behind the church. His restaurant. So we knew we had to move. And my daddy died owning that owning that restaurant. And we are glad. I see so many of our people who was around at that time. Jimmy, he stayed across the street. That Herman. Let me tell you a story about Herman. He got a bicycle for Christmas. And he come down on Belews and was riding it. I said, Herman, let me ride. He said, okay. I took my skates and hung them across the handlebar. Went one block and tore his bicycle up. I came back. I told Dad, I said, Daddy, I just tore up his bicycle. He said, well, you're going to have to work to get it paid. That's right. You're going to have to work to get it fixed. Right. So we carried it and had it fixed. And even up until today, we still talk about me tearing up his bicycle. Not only him, but there are just so many things that when I look around and see, I looked up the street there, Reynolds used to have what they call snow barrels. They kept right up on 3rd Street and one on 4th Street and had another one right here. That are warehouses that in the summertime, they put barrels of tobacco in them, so when it snowed, the trucks wouldn't have so far to haul them to the various factories. And not only that, but we see the different changes. I remember when Swain Furniture Store was out on Claremont then. And not only Swain Furniture Store, but Phillips Baptist Church was started right beside Swain's store. And Swain had a grocery store on down on First Street. So, you know, we were just friends. I remember one morning my cousins them stayed on First and Ridge. And when they started the school and they started singing, stepping in that bright shining river. When they got to our house, it was over 100 kids that came from this area. And we all went up the hill, through that, right where the trestle is down there, 40. There was a big field there. And we went up across that field singing, stepping in that bright shining river. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. And I feel an oral history coming on, so I'm going to be contacting many of you people so that we can get together and talk about the history of the Belews neighborhood. Well, we need to, why are we here? This is the reason we're here. So if I can get a drum roll, if anybody has a drum. I'm going to ask all the folks who were intimately involved in this project, the residents of the neighborhood, the Wake Forest representatives, our elected officials, please come. Good things come to those who wait.